What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego back with some more boxing. Now. A lot of people have been hitting me up wondering where the fuck I've been after such a big fight. Manny Pacquiao, Brandon Rios, Carl Froch, Groves. Um, Situation is my mic went out, so I had to get it replaced. I was actually pissed because I watched the Pacquiao fight live, and immediately after I recorded a video, and my mic was broke. So basically, my iMac, I got an Apple computer, my iMac reverted to the internal mic, which has way different settings. And when I did the video, it was all distorted. It sounded like some Charlie Brown shit. Like, then I tried to get my regular mic that I have hooked up set up, and it didn't work. So, long story short, I had to replace that. Well, I had to get it replaced. Um, I'm back up and running, and I'm back with my post fight. So, I definitely got to talk about it. Some people were like, "Oh, you're scared to make a post fight. Why the fuck would I be scared?" Um, and as far as the fight, I can't even say it was a great fight. It was a great performance by Manny Pacquiao, but it wasn't a great fight. Definitely wasn't competitive. I really thought it would be much more competitive, but props to Manny Pacquiao. He went, he executed. After a brutal knockout in his last fight, he showed that he still can beat fighters. He still has something left in the tank, and that's huge. It takes a lot to overcome um, any type of adversity. And sometimes great athletes, great fighters, they make fights look easier than what they are. And then you see these opponents in there with other people like Mike Alvarado, and it's a tooth and nail fight. If you watch Alvarado rematch with Rios, his face was like battered by the end. Um, and he definitely didn't make it look as easy as Pacquiao did. But Pacquiao, being the veteran, he pulled off um, the domination. Really, it was a domination. It was a shutout. I personally didn't give Brandon Rios any rounds. I didn't think there's rounds that he did better, but in boxing, you got to look at the fight and the round in its entirety. So I want to break it down a little bit further. Like I said, some people were getting at me like, "Where's your post fight? You're scared because your prediction was wrong." Some of you guys get on here and start talking like Bane, like you're just the toughest person ever created, and I find that rather comical. You guys turn into Bane when you're behind a keyboard. Theatricality and deception, powerful agents to the uninitiated, but we are initiated. But about the post fight, like I said, it was the Pacquiao show. Manny Pacquiao still showed he flexed his speed. He had Brandon Rios in there looking confused, frustrated, visibly frustrated. There was rounds where he was kind of rabbit punching. He kind of it really reminded me of other fights. It reminded me of the Rigondeaux versus Donaire fight where Donaire couldn't catch Rigondeaux, and when he did catch him, it was usually in a clinch and a break. So he tried to load up and punch him repeatedly with one arm like free. And it also reminded me of Sergio Martinez versus Chavez Jr. And it reminded me of that fight because Sergio Martinez did pretty much the same game plan, obviously minus the 12th round. To me, Brandon Rios didn't have any Chavez Jr. rounds where he almost got Pacquiao out of there, and it was apparent. But Sergio Martinez had the same type of fight against Chavez Jr. that Brandon Rios and Manny Pacquiao had. Sergio and Manny both used finesse. They used lateral movement at times. And they were just fluid. They used the motion to box the shit out of their opponent and proved and showed that their opponent is not equipped to deal with that they are more flat-footed, more one-dimensional, and just the speed and the angles was really offsetting Brandon Rios, and he never could really get off. He couldn't cut off the ring, he couldn't track him down, and he couldn't really secure the victory or really any rounds, in my opinion. Not to knock Brandon Rios, he's still a tremendous, exciting fighter. Only 2 losses on his record. He's still young enough to bounce back from this. I think Brandon Rios can beat other people. However, it's Pacquiao. Pacquiao is in the upper echelon of welterweights. He's had some tough fights. If you look at Brandon Rios, he moved up in weight and fought Mike Alvarado, who was undefeated at the time, and beat him by stoppage, even though Alvarado was undefeated. And then he moved up again and fought Manny Pacquiao, who is one of the upper echelon fighters at welterweight and seasoned, has power, southpaw. So that's a very hard fight to move up in weight, and that's your first appearance. So maybe Brandon Rios bit off more than he could chew. Maybe he should have tested the waters and Got a feel for Alex Ariza's strength and conditioning. Got a feel for the welterweight division as a whole. And maybe he would have looked better at a later date, but just right now it wasn't the time. And Pacquiao clearly, convincingly beat him. My prediction was wrong. I'm okay with admitting that it was wrong. And the reason I told you, if you listen to the prediction video, I told you why I picked Brandon Rios. I picked him because he's younger, he's relentless, he's a pressure fighter, he showed power in the lower weight divisions. I knew he was moving up in weight, but Pacquiao just suffered a brutal loss, and I told you in my prediction, I'm basing my prediction off of probability. Probability suggests, and odds suggest that after you get knocked out, fighters are never the same. So I thought Brandon Rios, who's normally good at cutting off the ring and kind of forces a certain fight that his opponent doesn't want, I thought there would be a moment, preferably later in the fight, where Brandon Rios was able to execute that, but he didn't. Like I said, I thought this would be a lot more competitive, but Pacquiao showed that he was superior in really every category. One thing Pacquiao did that I really liked was there were some moments where Pacquiao in the past probably would have exchanged a little bit more, but he tied up Brandon Rios and never really let Brandon Rios like take off on him and force a dogfight, an inside fight. So props to Pacquiao for being a tough fighter who at times likes to brawl and at times gets reckless, but he never got so overconfident where he went in for the kill and got hurt or knocked out or lost the round because he was trying to fight the fight that didn't make sense, like he did against Marquez, clearly winning rounds 5 and 6, and he got too overconfident and got caught and knocked out. So props to Pacquiao for making that adjustment, and that was a huge adjustment that he never let Brandon Rios impose himself or his strength. And one of Brandon Rios' strengths is inside fighting. He throws uppercuts, he digs to the body, he does a lot right on the inside, and there were some times where Pacquiao didn't allow that. He just held and that kind of thing. So props to Pacquiao. Flip side of the coin. On my channel, I keep it real, uncut. I'm not going to sway you guys in a false direction. The fact of the matter is this: Pacquiao looked spectacular. It was a great dominant performance. Again, I gave him every round, but with props also comes critiques. And my only critique is this: some people are saying Pacquiao's back, he's the man. That's great. That's fine and dandy. You feel that way? Cool. But you got to put things in perspective. The world will be lost without perspective. Perspective is this: Brandon Rios, and this is by Team Pacquiao's own admission, they picked Brandon Rios. They said this on the 24/7. They picked him because he's a fighter that's going to stand with them and trade. He doesn't move backwards. So they knew what Brandon Rios' game plan would most likely be. He's never taken a step back. He never really retreats. He's always going to come forward. That's his MO. And I've said this in previous videos, even before my prediction video, that style is tailor-made for Pacquiao. Pacquiao does exceptionally well against that style. Technical boxers, fundamentally sound boxers, counterpunchers, he doesn't do as well because they get the timing down and get adjusted to his speed, and they're more or less sharpshooters. So this was a style that benefited Pacquiao, like it or not. Also, Brandon Rios moved from 140 to 147, where Pacquiao has been fighting at 147. So you got to put it in perspective. It was a great win. It was a win against a person who's not a pushover. I'm not saying Brandon Rios is weak or he's a pushover, but everything from the weight to the style in which Brandon Rios fights to the pro-Asian crowd benefited Pacquiao. So you got to take it for what it's worth. Same thing, and it's not even just about Pacquiao. Some people have this notion that I hate Pacquiao. Pacquiao gets me paid, so I really don't hate him, and he's never done anything. I don't know him personally, but aside from that, it's the same rule applies for whoever. Delvin Rodriguez got mopped by Miguel Cotto, and that was a good win, a good confidence booster for Miguel Cotto. However, I said that right after the fight. You can't just start saying, "Oh, Miguel Cotto's back. He's gonna annihilate Canelo. He's gonna annihilate Sergio Martinez," based off of him beating Delvin Rodriguez. And I'm not saying Brandon Rios is a Delvin Rodriguez, but the odds are stacked against him. Like I said, the crowd, the weight, everything, the style, and it showed in this fight. Pacquiao did what he had to do, and he convincingly beat Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios, like I said, he couldn't get off with his offense, and I thought it would be more competitive, but Pacquiao showed that he's leagues above Brandon Rios, and he won clear cut. Now people are talking about the Mayweather fight, which is expected. If Pacquiao won, I knew that was going to come up. But like I said, I think people should hold their horses. Pacquiao really, in my opinion, needs to avenge some of his other losses. And it just so happens that his other losses are against fundamentally sound, actual boxers who are very technically sound, not brawlers. Timothy Bradley, Juan Marquez. And if he avenges that and then you want to make a Mayweather fight, or if he looks like he does in this fight with Rios against Bradley in a rematch or against Marquez, that's something different. But off of one win where everything was stacked against his opponent, I wouldn't be screaming and calling for a Mayweather fight. That's me personally. And you could say whatever, I'm afraid of Mayweather. I think Mayweather still beats Pacquiao because Pacquiao dealt with a fighter who's very slow and is not an accurate counterpuncher like Mayweather. We just seen Mayweather go in against Canelo, who's bigger than Pacquiao. So who knows who hits harder? Like, let's say Canelo hits harder. He's fucking big. He's over 160 pounds. May not have the speed of Pacquiao, but who knows? I'm not here to gauge people's punching power or whatever. But I still think Mayweather. I've always thought that Mayweather beats Pacquiao. Could be wrong. It's boxing. Anything can happen. My prediction was wrong. But we'll see if the fight happens. But I just don't think off of one performance that erases, because you have to look at it. Pacquiao still has more losses in the last couple years than he does wins, or in the last 2 years or whatever it's been. A lot of people thought he lost to Marquez in the third fight, even though he won that one. But even without that, Timothy Bradley and the Marquez fight, those were both losses. So he has one win, but he's off of a 2-loss streak. So he hasn't even redeemed himself and put himself on a 2 consecutive win streak. And people are already like, oh, Mayweather, Mayweather, Mayweather. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm back. Microphone's back to knock out these videos. And let me know what you guys think. What you thought of the Brandon Rios fight. What's next? For Brandon Rios, I told you guys from the jump, I want to see Brandon Rios for Ruslan Provodnikov. Provodnikov says him and Manny Pacquiao are close friends, and he'd rather retire than to fight Pacquiao. So I doubt that fight would happen, even though I'd love to see it. So Brandon Rios, he has options. Provodnikov was with Top Rank. Great fight. 2 tough fighters, like bashing each other's brains in. The Alvarado rematch, they could have a stalemate, like a winner takes all type fight with them. Even though this is not as appealing to me, based on the fact that Alvarado got beat the fuck down by Ruslan in his last fight, but it's still a fight that'll make money and it'll settle the score for them. So let me know what you guys think. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.